episode 196. And today we're going to be continuing as we have been last night. Of course, I kicked the thing I just finished drinking. One a day. Of course, last night we made a lot of progress with, the video games and Blu-rays and VHS stuff. So, tonight we might finally get that corner semi-sorted. And, if you've been watching this for a while, I've already done it a couple of times. And it's not worked out. 1 second. But yeah, so what I want to do with that is obviously I've got the UCS Slave 1 that just sits in the back of there. That's not ideal. And the way I'm going to fix it is, well, the Slave 1 will be at the front of everything, and behind it will be all the random, assorted items that are, of course, there in storage. Like the box for my Series S. You might wonder why I've chosen to keep that. Well, that's kind of simple. The reason I've chosen to keep the box for that is I don't think I'll keep the Series S long term. That may change, but my current attitude on it is eventually when I buy a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, I'll sell it. And CEX give you a bit more money for keeping the box, so why would I get rid of it? It just makes sense to me. Right, we'll get everything. We'll get the beanbag up off the floor, and we're just going to get started on this in a moment. I've got the drive today to want to get some things done that will be needing to get done. Tomorrow I'm going to be a bit busy, so I'm not going to get the opportunity. But this is one of the major obstacles against me actually getting that room tour video up and filmed. And that's primarily because it looks like crap. And, I did reorganize it, then I got more crap. Change your bed. No, it's no way through here. That cover. Okay then. But hey there, but that's kind of the general idea behind the stream is we're going to get that bit finally done. Because, if I had been able to keep to my original goal, which due to work and stuff, I didn't, the room tour would be getting released tomorrow. It ain't even filmed. The place ain't, in my opinion, suitable enough for me to film that video, so that's why it's not been done yet. But don't mind me here and there, I'll just be moving things into the other room. So yeah, I'll be right back. There we go, we got that sorted out. But yeah, essentially we're pulling all that out and trying to come up with a better way of organising it because here's a mess. It's a very warm day. But that's beyond the joke. I do want to get that to look just that bit better. You know what I mean? And tell you the truth, I thought the weather would be brighter today. So I'm just going to move a couple things I had sitting here so that we can begin. The main goal is this bottom shelf here is primarily used as a storage shelf, and we're going to go get all that, you know, sorted and fixed. But I am going to try and do all of this within one live stream. I don't want to make this a two-parter tonight. I know a lot of people were enjoying the one before work and the one after work, but tonight we're just doing it as one part. Not to mention, if I do it in one part, I'm more likely to get all of it done. Rather than, you know, you go to do the second part, but you've already gotten comfortable. Like, oh, well, I'll just do it tomorrow. Like, no. We're trying to avoid that mindset. I'm going to show you the project. So we're reorganizing this shelf. And here's storage. We've got the UCS Slave 1 back there. The box of the recently purchased Series S, among other things. I do not collect Transformers. I have a few as gifted by a friend of mine. But if you're looking for Transformers content, you want to check out my friend Terra Killer T1. One of the Transformers I do have is I've got a 1987 Astro Train Transformer. I have a few, like whenever I go to conventions, I'll end up picking one or two. I do like Transformers, but not like, it's not something I actively buy and collect. Occasionally when I'm at Comic-Con or just any of those kind of trading hall places, I have picked up a couple here and there. But that's my extent to collecting them. Right. Right. Where did I put that with the cable? But out of my 2 days that I'm meant to have off, this is the only one where we'll be able to get a good amount of content out. So the goal is I'm going to put some background noise on, just like copyright free stuff. Okay, that's a bit loud, and I need to avoid it. Like, you know, when you go past what windows on YouTube, it tries to play the video. Try to avoid some of that.
Star Wars. I've seen it, you've seen it, we've all seen it, we all know it, you get it, let's move on. It's no secret that ever since the original trilogy was first released on home media, that George Lucas spent years altering his original Star Wars films.
Careful what you're saying about R4, because you can get popped on the head real quick.
There were lots of changes, some minor, some major, some good, some bad. In terms of the original VHS releases, the trilogy was mostly left alone, apart from some minor changes like adding the 4, 5, and 6, along with each film's respective subtitle before the opening crawl. The real shenanigans started when George Lucas released the special edition of the original trilogy in theaters in 1997, where audiences were treated to severely altered versions of each movie. A New Hope is the most dramatically different film in the trilogy, being treated to a number of new visual effects and some audio fixes. Most of these changes, in my opinion, improve the film rather than take away from it. But then you get moments like the infamous Han shot first scene that to this day still causes outrage. Empire is more subtle with its changes, choosing to enhance elements in scenes rather than adding new elements entirely. Then to cap it all off,
Right.
Return of the
So like I said, we're going to get that all pulled out and just read on.
This reportedly cost $1 million to make.
But the thing that bugs me, if you look at it, is the very first shot of it, right before.
I've got all these boxes here.
You see Size Noodle
Well,
in the back.
those are the Lego pick-a-brick boxes. I don't know why I kept those. You know what I mean? It's at this point I may as well just call it hoarding.
And then the song starts, and you cut to her, and she enters, and it's the CGI Size Noodle without a feather. And I'm like, so this, you spend $1 million,
All that money.
right? All that money on that scene, and you don't eat like this glaring continuity that it doesn't matter.
And some people call my gambling addiction a bad investment. I mean, look, they put Hayden Christensen in Return of the Jedi. Even after Lucas sold the franchise to Disney, changes were still made to the trilogy. A New Hope, now on Disney Plus with 100% more content. The special edition trilogy was released on VHS and Laserdisc that same year in 1997, and this release marked the death of the original theatrical cut being distributed on home media, because ever since the release of the special edition, the original theatrical cuts have never been made commercially available.
There we go. Well, there's all sorts of stuff. Again, it was like temporary storage gone wrong.
So one day I found myself watching some old Red Letter Media videos when in one of them they brought up the fact that the 19...
There's all sorts of stuff. Got like one of the HDMI splitters, some set instructions.
Original theatrical versions were released on those home media formats. Despite the fact I did not own a VHS player, I thought it would be a neat idea to at least own copies of the quote-unquote original theatrical version of the trilogy. So of course, I went straight to eBay to begin my search for the VHS tapes that contained the theatrical versions of Star Wars. After my search, I ended up with these. Now, before you say anything, no, I didn't get scammed. Remember how I said that after their final release in 1995, that the theatrical versions were never made commercially available again? Well, turns out I was wrong. These are the limited edition versions of the 2006 DVD release of the original trilogy that was released alongside the prequel DVDs. What makes this release of the original trilogy on DVD different from the other versions is that these are 2-disc special editions.
Well,
and the second disc in each set contains the theatrical versions of each movie from the original trilogy. Well, okay.
Right.
Technically, but not really.
I'm finding things I've been looking for. Also, found a random R2D2. Chuck him back on the shelf.
Into these releases of the original versions, and the movies on the DVDs are just rips from the 1993 Laserdisc versions of the original trilogy pasted onto DVD disc. So not only does this mean the picture and audio quality is kind of awful, but the films had already been slightly altered by the time they made it to Laserdisc.
So we'll take all the minifigures out the box that I have, and we're just going to bag all that up. I can use that box for other things. All these like kind of storage bags for Legos what I've got sitting in there as well.
Special editions, and this is the closest I can get to owning the theatrical versions on a format I can actually access and watch. So I am more than happy to have these versions. Thing is, I haven't actually watched these DVDs yet. So far, I'm just going off of the opinions I've heard online. So, for the first time, I am now going to watch the original theatrical cuts of the original Star Wars trilogy. Just to clarify, I grew up watching the 2006 DVD release of the original trilogy, so the version of Star Wars I know and love are the special editions. But for years now, my go-to method of watching Star Wars has been the 2011 Blu-ray release. Recently, I've picked up the entire
Got an
Star
interesting
Wars
thing here.
Blu-ray from episode 1.
Got sent this last time I bought some
Episode
off a
9.
custom manufacturer, these test
Sat down
prints.
to watch those versions yet. If I had to guess, those are going to be my go-to way of watching Star Wars from now on, unless these theatrical cuts turn out to be the second coming of Christ. Anyways, only time will tell. For now, I'm going to just enjoy finally watching the theatrical versions of Star Wars. Be back in a bit.
I can't trust that he won't insert audio from it, so yeah, I'm gonna put something else on.
What? No. For me?
There we go.
Hello, everyone. Today
We go to Jago Hazard because it means I don't get copyrighted. Welcome to the stream. If you're just joining, we're reorganizing some of the Lego shelves. We're working on this one currently, so yeah.
Millwall is an area of East London, the Isle of Dogs, firmly in the Docklands. There is no station called Millwall, but there have been many proposals to build one. Somehow it just never happens. Let's look.
Thanks. I'm currently organising it for a room tour that's coming up. As in, I'll be doing a full-length video on it.
So that shoots the premise of this video through the foot right from the start. But both of them closed a century ago, and one of them wasn't even in Millwall. The one that actually was in Millwall was here, where Crossrail station on the Docklands Light Railway is now. This was the Millwall Extension Railway, and it opened in 18...
Like, I've been keeping, just for context, that bottom shelf has been getting used for storage, and there's some random things in there. Like the box for the Series S I bought. Why am I keeping that? Because I'm going to sell it eventually, and I would like... You get more money from CEX if you keep the box.
By the dock companies, and the owners of the West India dock wouldn't allow steam engines to run past their warehouses. So trains heading towards
Put some Lego in here, what we got now? That's a hard question.
dock station. Then a horse would have to pull the train for a few hundred yards. Another engine would have to be coupled up on the other side. All for a journey you could probably walk in 10 minutes. Eventually, the dock companies relented,
Right.
and we got these adorable little tank engines. But the branch was never super popular. 3 small coaches were usually enough. In 1926, the line was closed to passengers.
Like, it's a hard question. Usually the 2007 UCS Falcons at the top of that list.
Millwall Junction. It was the junction I mentioned earlier. I didn't say the name back then for dramatic effect. It was where passengers could interchange between the Millwall...
But yeah, we're just reorganising some stuff, getting the place looking better.
As it was on the Millwall Extension Railway, its history was very similar to Millwall Docks. Opened in 1871, closed 1926.
Got something pretty cool here.
From the fact that you could use it to get to Millwall.
The 2009 Lego Star Wars Visual Dictionary.
Although, given that railways sometimes put stations literally miles from the places they supposedly serve, only half a mile or so.
Some boxes, some base plates, just some other things. Hey, how's it going? So we'll put those there for now.
Brickwork looks a bit newer than what's around it. That was the entrance. Still, it seems that thereafter, every attempt to build a Millwall station has been doomed to fail.
One of the oldest boxes in my collection, 2004 X-Wing.
This was when planning was taking place on the Jubilee line. The initial version of this would have served the station on the Isle of Dogs. In those early days, the station was just called Isle of Dogs. Getting a station there, whatever it was actually called, was seen as politically smart. The people of the Isle of Dogs were feeling neglected with the decline of the docks, which had been the biggest employer in the area. So much so that in 1970, the residents made a unilateral declaration of independence
Yeah, I'm good.
in protest. The Isle of Dogs' existence as a free state only lasted about 10 days, but it made the international news. And
Oh.
more importantly, made the point that the locals were not going to simply sit there.
I
and
think
wait.
I do, yes.
By 1979, when the first section of the Jubilee line opened, the plans had changed in accordance with the recommendations of the 1974 London Rail Report. Now the line would follow a different course, known as the River Line. And while this would cross the Isle of Dogs, the station there was to be called Millwall.
Right, I'll be
At least
back
that's
in
what it
a
said in the
moment.
brochure issued at the opening of the Jubilee line. In reality, this version of the line had been scrapped in 1978 for financial reasons. Obviously, London Transport were hopeful that they would still get to build it one of these days, but anyone seeing that brochure and expecting trains to Millwall imminently would be disappointed. In the end, of course, the extension got built in 1999, by which time development on the Isle of Dogs had come to focus on Canary Wharf. So, no Millwall station, 3 Canary Wharf stations. In the interim, a pressure group known as the Docklands Development Organisation had put their own proposals forward. One was for a cut-price tube line to Beckton, and the other was for a light railway. 2 proposals for railways, 2 Millwall stations, no Millwall stations actually built. As you know, if you've been watching this video, there was another interim solution to the problem of giving the Docklands a rail connection, and that was the DLR. Actually, this wound up being
Nice.
more than an
It's a good way to go.
solution. It's now an extensive network. One of the first
Right,
routes to be
what
opened
else have we got
ran
to pull up
to
from
Island
here?
Gardens. Between Island Gardens and the aforementioned
Something cool that I got for
the
free as
station
part of a
was
purchase, but I've not done
This
anything
was
with yet.
firmly within the Millwall
Complete
area,
Saga
next to Millwall Park, in fact.
style mouse map.
2 names were considered for the station in the early planning stages. One
I keep
was
forgetting I
West
own
Ferry
that.
Road, and the other was Millwall Park. By the time station signage was being designed, they'd seemingly settled on Millwall Park. As a little side note, station names of the DLR are usually quite
Some comic related stuff, some instructions, some gaming magazines, just all that kind of thing.
This convention isn't universal, but it's common. I don't know, maybe I'll do a video on that. Let me know if you'd be interested in such a thing down in the comments. As it turned out, Millwall Park was not an acceptable name because of the risk of confusion with Millwall Football Club. Millwall FC used to be based in Millwall. In fact, football traffic was an important source of revenue for the Millwall Extension Railway until the club moved to Bermondsey in 1910. Bermondsey is in South London, on the other side of the Thames, so the fear was that Millwall fans would show up here by mistake. There was also the problem that Millwall fans have a reputation for being, shall we say, rowdy, rambunctious. One time they threw a grenade onto the pitch. You know, hijinks. I am told their reputation for hooliganism is rather exaggerated these days, but back in the 80s it was considered very well deserved. On the one hand,
Right,
the
let's
DLR
just
didn't
get as
want to
much of
lose
this
that
out
Millwall
with the
fans
exception of the
getting
Sleuth
angry
one as
in their
possible.
nice new station, and on the other, developers didn't want that association. So instead the station was named Mudchute. I mean, I don't know why you think Mudchute was better than Millwall Park, but no one asked me. Well, I was about 3 years old at the time, so to be fair, I probably couldn't have helped much anyway. So, Mudchute opened in 1987. The original Mudchute station no longer exists. It was up on an elevated section that used the Millwall Extension Railway's abandoned viaduct. But when the line was extended to burrow under the rivers of Greenwich, the old station was closed and re-sited. The new one was opened in 1999. Would you count that as yet another Millwall station we didn't get? I think it's a borderline case. On the subject of Millwall FC, that brings us to the last
Right.
Millwall we
And I still have these bags to go through in another stream.
Well, for quite some time now, there has been a plan to build a station on the London Overground at Surrey Canal Road, which would be very
This one not so much.
Back in 1988, though, when what would become the Overground was in its earliest planning stages, it was planned to build a station to serve the stadium, and it looked at that stage like it would, in fact, be called Millwall FC. The map, published in the East London Advertiser on the 27th of May that year, suggested that it would be some way north of the proposed Surrey Canal station as it stands today. As to why it didn't happen, well, this was very early in the planning stages and a lot changed.
I'll get up and read
It was
your comments in a
years
moment.
before the Overground line opened. But I would add that naming the station after the club would essentially be a mirror of the Mudchute problem. I appreciate that the Mudchute problem sounds like a euphemism for something requiring the attention of a proctologist, but bear with me. Millwall FC station would not actually be in Millwall, so anyone who wanted to get to Millwall the place would end up on the wrong side of London. So
Right.
let's tot our total up. That's 2
Um,
Millwalls closed, 3 proposed and never built, 1 built but not named Millwall, or 2 depending whether you count the rebuild, and 1 possibly in the future. 7 or 8, and no single reason for it. It just seems
Right,
like whenever
um,
somebody tries to build a station named Millwall, fate intervenes. Alas, it seems that fate is not a Millwall fan.
I recommend most sets that I own, to be fair. It is really just a subject of budget with them.
If you did, please do leave a like and consider subscribing for more. I'm planning a more thorough video on Surrey Canal Station.
Honestly,
not too
with
distant,
most
so
sets
keep an eye
pre
out.
2014, you cannot go wrong.
My main sources today were the
2014 or before.
website, London Underground, the
Right, let's start
Jubilee
getting
Line,
things back in there. So,
the East London
we've got this. That has to go in.
and the Doctors' Light Railway Handbook by Bob Bayman and Stephen Jolly. I would like as ever to thank my donors.
Oh, that fits like a glove. Brilliant. I should really get a lot of stuff stored in here.
You are the convenient station to my football stadium. And I will see you all again very soon. Cheerio.
It is a shame the UCS Django Fett Slave 1's in there. But I can't really have it anywhere else, so it's kind of like in a permanent state of limbo.
Wiki blimey, stand the throw. Today's video is sponsored by Sailing. The Jubilee Line is one of the great 20th century success stories of the London Underground. A tube line that brought the Docklands and the West End together, which, even more than a quarter of a century after it was completed, still feels futuristic. This is not the story of the Jubilee Line. This is the story of how it nearly didn't happen, and an alternative tube line proposed instead. So
I got the Cloud City Boba Fett as part of a lot back in 2023, and I paid £75 for a bag of minifigures. There was a Boba Fett in it. This Boba Fett. Of course. And then about a month later, so this is December 2023, I'm going to pause that as a talk. Then in December of 2023, right, I found the build. No instructions, no other minifigures, just the build on eBay for $130. Picked it up immediately. Because at that time, I wasn't thinking about buying the rest of it, but I just saw the build and thought, I need to have that. And by the way, I should also point out that at that time, I already had, as far as minifigures go in the set, I already had the Vader and the Stormtrooper, and the Carbonite block, because they're not exclusive. I shall point out the Han Solo that came in this set was not exclusive. He was also in the minifig pack from 2000, which is up there. But yeah, so I got the Boba Fett November 2023. December, picked up the set for $130, so we're already at £205 here. I then didn't pick anything up for this for about 6 months, and then I picked up the Leia in June of 2024. I paid $90 for the Leia. Then July that year, I picked up the Luke Skywalker. That did set me back about $250 to get the real one. So, you know, he's one of the more expensive figures. I already had owned the Lando from years before. He's up there on my complete saga stand. So that's where Lando is. And then last year in June, I picked up the Han Solo. And ironically, 6 months later, I technically got him again in the minifig pack from the year 2000. So I paid like under $700 technically over the period of like 2 years or so. which I'd say is a bargain. Or you might say it was the deal of the century. So, yeah, that's the story on how I got that. The Boba Fett, I debated selling it once I got it, because I didn't know I was getting it. But, see if this had been 10 years ago, when the Boba Fett was worth like $250, I'd have sold it and bought something else. But given that that Boba Fett will never be at that price point ever again, unless, you know, a whole palette of Cloud Cities is randomly discovered, it's one of those things I probably wouldn't sell. Like, if there was, and God forbid this ever happened, like, you know, my house was on fire and I had to save something, I would save the Cloud City build. Purely because, well, I could sell that for enough to, you know, kickstart and start collecting again. Because of the insanity of what that set's worth. I'll show you where we're at on things. So, organisation with this is so far going pretty well. I didn't really want to drag my heels in this stream. I just want to get stuff done. Especially considering I won't be able really to get one of these out tomorrow. Right, what else do we have to sort? I was keeping this in here. I've got this big bulk of like workman socks and stuff like that. Oil, that. You know what, that fits in there nicely enough. That may be permanent or temporary. I don't goddamn know yet. That's getting thrown out, as is this, and that, and that, and that. Right, I'm going to be back in a moment. I'll be back in like a minute or two. It is, you know what it is? When I bought the box of minifigures, right? It was like a box. I don't really have a good measure, but it was like a box this size, right? Full of battle droids, clone troopers, a couple of Lego City, and like, you know, late 90s, early 2000s stuff, right? Now, the box had been sitting, I have every version of Captain Rex. I'll show you which ones are on this. So currently on my display, which is being worked on, I've got 2008 and I've got 2013 there. But no, given what my channel is called, of course I've got Captain Rex. So the box was about this size, right? And it was full of dust. there had been no lid on this, and it had sat there since like the mid 2000s, and they were selling for £75, and they hadn't gone through the value of it. If I had not gotten a deal like that, hey, I would have never ever bought one of those minifigures. Like, it was never a minifigure I was planning on buying, let's put it that way. Like, I'd already seen the insanity money that they were going for, and already I'd set it back years beforehand, and I was like, already like, no, I'm not going to put them. What do you mean by that? Like, I have 670 clones and probably about 50 stormtroopers. Like, my Imperial army is not as big as the Republic army. Right, I'm back. Right, 2005 sets. Right, let's go over it. So, 2005 sets, I have... That is the shuttle and the little carton Imperial build from Imperial Inspection, so that's one. I have... I don't have a lot, by the way. I have... Other sets I've got from 05. I have the Boga Chase from 05. I've got the ATRT Walker from 2005. The Turbo Tank from 2005. That's all my 05 sets. I do plan to buy more of them. I am from Scotland. You're close though. Like, that's not, those countries ain't too far away. I have never left the United Kingdom. Right, so this is now looking like it's actually had some organisational thought put into it. That is crazy. Right. Got this acumen. I made this in high school about 10 years ago. So we've got all these kind of things to put in there. These are bags of parts and stuff that I'll show you all the ones that are out. Not all my snowtroopers are out and easily accessible. I'm going to quickly put a few more things in the storage. Yeah, like the money banks. They also make like things for holding toilet paper, and I think in the kitchen there's a spice rack that I made back then. I'll show you what snowtroopers are on my display. I do not display everything. I prefer to keep out the retro stuff over anything else. So you can see, so we're on the Empire Strikes Back display. We've got a few snowtroopers there. One who's coming up from there. There is more to my Imperial army. Oh, there's a few stormtroopers in here. There's one of these drawers is like an all Imperial drawer, or at the very least a mostly Imperial drawer. That drawer there is like literally, check this, the entire thing is just battle droids. It's nuts. Right. I've just spilled another pick-a-brick cup. God damn it. Oh, and for anyone new here, or anyone who just doesn't know who's interested, I have a second channel on here. We don't stream on there, at least not yet. We just make I track daily gaming related videos on it, where, you know, I muck around my other hobbies, which is Blu-rays, VHS tapes, and just old school games. So that channel is called Rex Collects, which, I mean, it's an interesting name for the channel. It came to me one day during a shift at work. I've had that channel for 6 years. It's been rebranded as that. It previously wasn't that. So all these many cups and bags, once I've done the minifigure side of things, that'll be what we're organising during the late night streams. I have a lot of custom minifigures. Like, get ready, there's a lot. So this is a project I've been working on for about over a year. One of my favourite games of all time, in fact, there it is right there for the Xbox 360, is the Complete Saga. Love it. And many of the characters that you play as in this game are not real minifigures, or they're slightly different from the real ones. So, this Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and TC-14 are all customs. Panaka and Padme are custom. Obi-Wan's custom. Anakin, Padme are custom. That is the Gold Chrome 3PO from 07. They two are customs. They're all real. The Palpatine is custom made. Luke and Leia are customs. That Leia's a custom. That Leia's custom. Those Lukes are custom made. That Han Solo is a custom minifigure, as is that Han Solo, and that Captain Antilles. That Boss Nass is a custom. That Padme is custom. That Watto is custom. The wings in the game are different from the real minifigure from 01, so it kinda has to be a custom to look good. These Kaminoans are custom. And these are probably the piece on this stand that I was shocked the most I was able to find someone making. By the way, I've got quite a few figures on pre-order for this that'll eventually come. That Rebel Trooper's custom. The Disguise Clone is a custom. The Magna Guard and Dooku are both customs. The Plo Koon, Ayla, Shakti, Kit Fister, and Kiadi Mundi Luminara, the Boba Fett, those are all customs. Jumping down onto this level, Imperial Spies are custom. The Death Star Trooper is custom made. The Luke Skywalker, Lobot, Ugnaught, that Leia are all custom made. The Free Force Ghosts are custom. Forlom is a custom. Akbar is custom. And Bosk and Palace Guard are custom. Probably like 10 grand in the last 10 years or something. Those are just the customs that are part of this display. And this is a project a lot of people have forgotten doing. We'll get onto that in a minute. These are some other customs I've got from the show Better Call Saul. And up here I've got various customs like Clayface and stuff, because I'm also doing a series of Lego Batman, which I've not had a few episodes on that in a while. How many Republic sets do I have? Right, so technically that's the old Republic Striker class Starfighter up there. You come down here, I've got Palpatine's office, I've got Palpatine's shuttle there, an AT-AP, an AT-RT, a Republic fighter tank. Down here, it's the AT-TE and the Acclimator. There's nothing on the Phantom Menace shelf that would come under that. Attack shuttle from 09, two 2008 gunships, a 2009 dropship, CC-10 Starfighter, Anakin Starfighter, the Y-Wing, the Republic fighter tank, the Freako Speeder, Ahsoka Starfighter, the ARC-170, the V-19 Torrent, the Twilight, the AT-RT, the AT-OT, and the T-6 shuttle. Yeah. There's a lot. I will go back to answering questions momentarily. I just want to continue getting some of this done. because that would be the more productive way to spend my time. Like I said, happy to answer questions, but I will take brief breaks from answering the questions just to try and further along progress. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. So I don't need to organise this bag. I know this is Lego Indiana Jones stuff in this bag, for example. Who knows, right? If I'm feeling generous, well, we can do 2 streams tonight. This one where I do all this, for example, this bag has some Lego Pharaoh's Quest in it, which I really want to fix. I hate the fact that I had to do this with this set. It's just not ideal. 1 second.
It was shocks anything.
I wasn't planning why.
It was just I was wanting you to get me, you know, the chocolate cakes I get.
You're as bad as me.
I know. I just fancied something.
Well, I'll go soon. I've been
Yeah, I'll
lying.
give a card.
I've been lying down. I'm really sore.
We need butter, Stephen.
We need butter. I'll go and
Get the cheese for the flavour.
if they're doing it. We don't always have that on.
I would put it on for the mail. There's my card. Could you swap it with? Tell me how much is in that bag.
If you remember me the numbers, because I'm not going right now.
It's 5518.
1-8.
There's 2 of them as that.
Well, I'll do that. I'm not going right now, but I'll do that when I go.
Yeah, okay. It's got 8 money in it.
Well, let's see what you guys are saying. I have those battle packs. I bought 4 of them. I am a corner. I don't have them built. They're not really. I like the minifigures in it. They're not my favourite ones, but I do like them. But I don't like the build from the set, so I do not have any built copies of it in my collection. Right. These bags that I have here were the parts. I'm organising these in an upcoming stream, so that's why they're going to be sitting on top of all the craziness, because I'm looking to do maybe next weekend an hour-long stream where I just go through some of these bags and figure out, hey, what the hell is this? In fact, I'm going to put them in bigger bags. Like all the smaller ones go into the bigger ones. That might make some more sense. I'm going to be going to the store to pick up some. The Indiana Jones ones are not getting separated out because I don't need to go through those because those bags are sorted. But when I was taking down shelving about 3 months ago, moving things about, quite a lot of stuff had parts fall off and I put them in these bags as I went. Or Lego Indiana Jones stuff, so it's not something I need to go in my head to figure out what they are. But I do have a few bags where I need to dig through the pieces to find parts that popped off my sets. And that will be what we do in an upcoming live stream. I'd rather the place was ready to go, organised, sorted. I might do a second stream tonight just because I know I've got to pop out and do some things. We'll stream for another 10 minutes and then go from there. I think that would be the sensible way to do this. Another 10 minutes worth of streaming and then we'll go. Or I'll go rather. Sorry, Ryan's streaming on the way there. It would surprise you how often that gets requested. One of the many cars from Lego Indiana Jones. I do want certain sets from that theme. It's a theme that I occasionally go back and buy bits from. Yep, Legos. And if you're someone who watches my second channel where I do stuff with the video games and that, there should be a video coming to that relatively soon. Again, like the pickup series, tomorrow I will be out. I will pick some things up from CEX. So if you're someone who is a fan of that and watches that, no, you got some stuff coming. Look, this big one. Oh, there's parts of the Republic, one of the old Republics. I have a lot of Lego sets. I'm an irresponsible. Some say, like, it. Some people may agree with the statement. Oh, it is controlling or taking over my life. If you're new here, I'll show you some of the stuff I got. So you got my main shelf, which is this one. A custom mini turbo tank. Alright, that'll be interesting to see. So these pick-a-brick cups will throw, like, again, these I'm planning to sift through and organise into bags or drawers in an upcoming live stream once I get the time for doing that. But like I said, there is more stuff that needs to be changed, and I'm going to throw some things out just now that I know I am not keeping. You know, that helps declutter the place a lot. I'll be back in a moment. You know what? Now I think about this stream will be getting a part 2. Just do it. I mean, we're making progress. Why should we stop? Also, I got to go out and grab some things, but I'm more than happy to do one of these again later. Right, let's see what we've got here. Here's something cool that I keep forgetting I've got in my collection. I got this from a Tom Builds. It's a custom manufacturer on Instagram. Sent for free as part of a order I made of some clone troopers. I've always meant to go back and order more of his products because his stuff was just that good. Same like these people who make the custom stickers, but granted I'm going to have to buy more gunships to actually use these. I've had most of those stickers for quite a long while as well. So that's spare parts for the X-Wing, which I need to to about for when I actually do end up reviewing that. Right, so here's how this will work. In a moment or two, we're going to be getting prepped to call it a stream. And what I'm going to... I typically the only stuff from my collection that you will find I ever sell is modern sets that I have bought and got bored with, but stuff like old Captain Rexes aren't stuff I typically sell. So like if I was to buy Speed Champion sets, and I've done this a couple of times, I've bought them just to see what they're like the F1 cars. Bought a couple of those, didn't like them, ended up selling those. That was just one of those things. Well, it wasn't, for me. I do like Speed Champions. I've got quite a few of them in storage, but those ones just weren't ones that I liked enough to want to keep. Right, well, this, I'm going to put 2 things away in the kitchen, and then that will conclude tonight's live stream. Been great, though, getting another one of these out. And, of course, I'll try and do one later. I'm aiming for it. Right. Make sure there's nothing I need before I leave the house, but yeah, so that pretty much just concludes today's stream, or this current one I'm doing. What time are we on? Right, so it is 25 minutes to 8. I will aim to come back at 9. We'll come back at 9 and add some more to this, but I'll see you guys later on.